Good morning. Welcome to Utico Engineering Services, the house plan market. For those of us that are coming for the first time, this platform, we've already made it clear before now, is designed for people that want to understand what is happening at their site. Apart from that, we also help students of engineering that just came out from the school, knowing fully well that they are good with theoretical aspect of the job but have no idea of the practical aspect. Okay, if you are such an individual, you can always fall back to our platform for one or other information that might be of help to you. Okay, right now, if you watch closely, you discover that at the background we are about to start a new project. Now, if you still observe, you equally discover that this particular site is not a virgin ground. What I mean by virgin ground is not a place that they've not been developed before now. There was an existing structure here. Okay, so before we took over the site, okay, there's equally an understanding between us and our client. Okay, the first thing that we did was to ensure that every debris on this site, they were properly moved to a particular end where it's not going to affect our work practice. Okay, that's the first thing that you do if you want to go into a site. Apart from doing that, there's one thing that is very, very important. Another area that is important is the area of bidding, negotiation. Okay, it will be a very wrong practice if you go into a site without having a good agreement with your client. Okay, you need to make some certain things known to your client, especially your practice ethics. Okay, there are things that might not be well with you, or there are things that your client will not want you to do. So those things need to be ironed out between you and your client. All right, so the moment you're able to sort that out, the next thing is to look about your payment. Your payment is very important in this case. All right, how you are going to be paid, at what time, at what stage, is very important. All these things are being drawn to attention and clarified before you move to the site. Now, when you get to the site, another thing that you need to experience, or you need to make sure that they are clear, or things that needs to be on ground. One is water, availability of water. Okay, if it is a site that there's no water, then you have to start thinking, or let your client know, how are we going to get water to take care of our site activities. All right, now once that area has been settled, okay, you move to the next phase. The next phase is power. How do you power your equipment, your tools? Okay, now all these things is two ways. It's either you provide for it, okay, or the client provide for it. If you are providing for it, it means the cost is going to be on your bid, on your quotation. But if the client is provide for you, only just need to give the client information, those things that needs to be available at the site to make the work easier for you. Now, one more thing that you need to clarify your client with is the work schedule. It's very important. Most of us start site project without having an insight of how long this project is going to take us. You need to let the client know that this project I'm going to start, please, it's going to take me 3 months, it's going to take me 2 months. Okay, this is my work schedule. Why is this very important? It's very, very important. The reason why it's important is because if you do not take cognizance of your work schedule, at times you might be under pressure by your clients. Okay, by the time they'll start telling you this work is slow, so you can also let them know that you are working with your timing. Okay, now we are supposed to be at this stage, but we are at this stage, so it's still very okay. or it's not very okay. All right, now when you watch still at the background, you discover that we have already prepared the site ready for work. Okay, the next we are going to do now is to bring in our materials, which is the profiles. Okay, the profiles and maybe nails and every other thing that we need to take care of our setting out. Okay, at this stage now we are just arranging, but what you need to do is to bring out the profile. Now once the profile is out, once the profile is on the site, then there's what we call setting out. Setting out is very very important, especially to engineering students. Most times you've heard about the word setting out, but there are things that you don't understand about this word setting out. If you want to carry out a setting out, it is very very important that you draw the client attention. One, you look about the offset. What is offset? I'm talking about the distance, okay, between the fence line and your starting point and the building. Okay, what's going to be the distance? Okay, that's one. Then two, where is this building going to, where is going to face? Do you want it to face this direction or that direction? That still determine on one, what is on the architectural detail, the drawing, the details, and the nature, what's on the site too. So there's a way that you get to the site and discover that fine, this site, the only direction that this building can be faced is the front way. Okay, it still depends on the designs of the building too. But what you need to know is, the major important thing here is that you need to discuss this with your clients. Let the client know we are about to start setting out tomorrow. Please, we will need your presence. Now when you put the first peg on the ground, the next thing you are supposed to do is, okay, this is where the first peg is, this is the distance to the fence, distance to the fence. What is your intention? Are you looking at putting a sock away, or do you want to use the back space for any part for one thing or the other? The client say no, I need space at the back. Then you can increase the offset. If the client suggests that it's okay by him or by her that way, then you are good to go. All right, now once you finish taking your offset, the next thing is for you to square the building. Now the process of squaring is not too big, it's not too difficult, but I think for the purpose of today's class, we will look for I will look for a better way of explaining those stages for you guys. But for now, if you have issues about your offset, the profiles, the taking measurement and stage by stage of how you go about it until you start excavation, please feel free to let me know. I'm always there to explain one-on-one or send you back information that will guide you on those areas. All right, that's remind me, please, if you are just joining for the first time, like I said before, it's never too late. If you like to be getting information about construction activities on daily basis, especially the practical insights from practical approach, okay, what we discuss or what I discuss often on this platform is about our daily activities experience. Okay, what we are doing and how we do our works in a way that is going to save cost for the client, okay, and it's going to help us too in achieving success and good job. All right, now once you finish your setting out, the next thing is to do your marking. Once you finish the marking, then excavation begins. For this particular project you are seeing now, I think it's a multi-purpose or just a story, multi-purpose or one story building. So what we are looking at now is to excavate. After the excavation, we carry out our column exercise. After the column exercise, then the next thing we are going to do is to start preparing for our pillars. We do the pillars. After the pillars, then the next thing is to mount it. Okay, when I talk about pillars, I'm talking about the reinforcement. Okay, then the next thing we'll start mounting it. Now before we start mounting it, what are involved in it? There are things that are involved before we start mounting our pillars. Definitely we must do our blinding work. Now during the blinding work, what is the measurement we are looking at? This is important. Okay, the thickness of your blinding is very important, especially when you are carrying out a story building. Normally most people, sometimes you see them, they will use 2 inches, they will use 3 inches, but if you check your structural details, you always find the thickness of your blinding work. Okay, the thickness of your blinding work. And again, the thickness of your blinding work depends on the nature of the soil too. Okay, there's sometimes that if you want to do a blinding work, you might need to combine it with reinforcement. Okay, because if the soil bearing capacity is not too good and you went ahead and even provide, even if it's 6 inches or 9 inches, okay, for your foundation blinding, at the end of the day you might still be experiencing crack. Okay, so the first thing is, before you do your blinding, what is the nature of the soil? It's very, very important. What is the soil type? What is the environment? Is it a waterlogged area? Is the soil bearing capacity is okay? If it is not okay, then as the engineer at the site, okay, you need to provide reinforcement for the blind so that the load that is coming to the foundation, okay, will be stable. But if the reinforcement, if the soil is not too good and you didn't provide reinforcement for it to support the soil, if there's differential settlement, okay, if there's differential settlement, you are going to be having issues with the foundation. And once your foundation start having issues, definitely it's going to affect that particular structure you are looking at. All right, so after we finish our blinding, what do we do next? The next thing is to take care of the columns. We cast the columns, then make sure everything is up to the required thickness. Okay, for the required thickness, I cannot really give you any specific thickness right now, but like I said before, it is based one on the nature of the soil type, okay, and the bearing capacity of that soil. That determines what you are going to be looking at. But so far so good. If you still have issues on that, let me know. I'm going to be giving you options or how you can determine the nature of the soil and other areas so that you can be able to know what thickness you are to use for a particular project. Okay, why we cannot give you the direct answer because locations differs. So because this work now is not something that you will say, okay, let use 3 inches or use 4 inches. Definitely 3 inches, 4 inches, they are too low to be used. I'm only citing that as an illustration. Okay, but normally if you are doing a story building, okay, depending on your level, sorry, I didn't talk about taking level, you need to take level. So when you take level, you can be looking at, okay, fine, the minimum should not be less than 6 inches, then the maximum should not be higher than 9 inches thickness. Okay, you work within that level. I don't know if you understand what I'm talking about, but this is how you go about it. So after the blinding, you mount column. The next thing is to do your formwork, starting from the substructure. Okay, I use the word substructure and I understand you guys know what I'm talking about. Okay, the moment you start your substructural work, raise the block up to DPC. Now once you get to DPC, this is another area that is very, very important. If you watch what they are doing there, they are still excavating the column. And this particular site, I told you before now that this site, there's existing structure here, meaning they have already filled this place before now. So if you watch closely, there are blocks that will need to break, concrete that will need to destroy before we get to the main soil. And for you to get to the main soil, we have some filling sand already on it. So this means that if we want to get to the original soil, we are going to dig deeper, more than the required depth, and this will be costing us a very lot of money. So what do? We have to look for another means, another strategy of how we can achieve the results we are looking at. Okay, so basically once you have finished your your block work and you take it to the DPC level. The DPC level is another area I want to stress on. Why do I want to stress on the DPC level? If you watch now, our DPC, we are looking at from the background, you see that we have about 2 or 3 blocks before the beam. Okay, before the beam. Why did we provide beam? I will explain all that. Okay, now if you are in a developed area where it becomes easier for you, to, you are looking at, okay fine, there's no going to, you don't have, maybe there's no way, you don't need to make it high or no, but what I'm saying in essence is that if you are doing your DPC, make sure your DPC is high enough, not too high, but please avoid low DPC. The reason is because you never can tell what the future holds for that road. If tomorrow there's a government, the system of our country, if there's a government that comes in place and decide to increase the road for one reason or the other, it might start affecting your DPC. Okay, we've experienced this in the past, even in major city, okay, in Port Harcourt areas, where after construction of the road, every other houses within that area becomes very low. Okay, and what are the challenges you're going to be facing? It means you have to start de-roofing your structure, fill your compound, raise the structure up again so that you can channel water to the road. Anything outside that, you just be suffering. You can't use that particular structure will not be serviceable any longer. All right, so that's why I always tell our clients, and if you are a student of engineering, you want to carry out, don't take your DPC to be too high. The first thing you need to do is, what are the buildings within that area? What is the road level? Okay, look at the road level and take your level from the road, transfer it, or look at the environment. Okay, look at the areas that you have. The shape of the environment will determine how you take your level. All right, then the other buildings around that area will still assist you, okay, on how you take your level. Okay, existing structure there will still assist you. Then there are some areas you will see that, okay fine, this is water level. If it's a swamp area, maybe you see a mark of the water level during the raining days. All right, so that mark will still assist you. So, okay fine, during raining days, it means that water always increase to this point, so whatever thing I'm doing here should be higher than this level. All right, but if it is a normal dry land, still make your DPC higher, at least with 2 blocks, okay, before the beam. Some construction, you discover that they don't always provide the beam, okay, and in some cases they provide the beam, but they will not make provision for the what they call it, the DPC, okay, the dam proof course. They don't make provision for the dam proof course. Whichever way you are looking at it, there are implications to this. Okay, for us it's always better to make provision for the beam and to make provision for the dam proof course. Now, why do we always introduce the beam? Over the years, we've discovered that when you are carrying out a larger structure and you didn't make provision for the beam, especially when your DPC is a little bit high, okay, by the time you start doing your filling and you start compacting, you are going to be having cracks at the end of the walls. Most of the time, those your block walls will pull out, especially after soaking, because normally it's either you allow it, if you finish filling, you can allow it naturally to compact itself. That is, if the client is not, if the project is going to take maybe like 2-3 years before completion, you can give it some time for the soil to settle down naturally by itself. But if you want to do it the other way, which is the artificial way, then you have to you have to pump water into those areas, the soil, the field soil, and allow it to soak for a reasonable period of time, okay, so that there can be proper settlement. It is wrong for you to just fill. Most people practice this. They just finish filling. After finish filling, the next thing they compact and they blind. No. If you go ahead and do your DPC that way, you're going to be having issues. What are the issues you're going to be having? After settlement, you're going to be having holes, void, okay, void in your sitting room or in your living room. And when you start having those void, if there's any pressure or any force on it, it's going to crack. And once that happens, it means that whatever thing you have put on it, you start all over again and start fixing and start correcting it. Okay, then if you are seeing someone that is doing, I've talked about this concerning I think what is it called, I think what's it about when water is seeping through the wall. Okay, I've discussed this before. Most people, most of our clients have come to us, please look at my wall, water is seeping through. There's issues with it. What is the cause is this area I'm discussing now, your DPC. When you didn't make provision for DPC, for example, if you just only make provision for the beam, okay, alone, and you think that will solve the problem, no, the beam alone cannot solve the problem of water seeping through your walls. No. Now the work of the beam for us is to connect all the walls together so that there will not be room for separation. That's the major work. That's why we provide our beam first. Okay, it will help to connect all the walls together so that even when we finish soaking the feed soil, okay, we will not have room for any disconnection between the walls. This is very, very important, because if there is disconnection, the cost of repairing it is very, very high. Okay, it's very, very high, and we don't want to experience that, and I don't want you either to experience that, and that's why I'm taking this pains to explain this to you. So if you watch at the background very well, we've already made provision for our beam, okay, and we've compact very well. So after you finish filling, the next thing is to soak very well. When you finish soaking, you can soak for like 1 day or 2 days. Soak it very well. Soak it in a way that it will be, you will know that this soil is soaked. Then allow it to settle. After that, you compact. When you finish compacting, then you can now start your, after you finish compacting very well, then you can now look at your damp-proof course. You can now start doing your damp-proof course work. This is very easy process, but most times, because of fund or because of material issues, sometimes the client want to advise you to skip this process. But I want to let you know that if you want to protect your job, if you want to do a good job, always tell the client the right thing to do, because in the long run, it's the client that will enjoy it and not you. Okay, but if the client wish not to do the right thing for reasons best known to him, let him know the implication, so that tomorrow he will not come and tell you, or he will not start claiming that the engineer did not do the job well. That way, for us, if we are doing jobs like this for clients, we always make it clear to them, this is our procedure, this is what we need to do, this is what we are going to do for you. So you don't tell us how you want it to be done. We'll tell you what is good to be what's good at your site, okay, so that at the end of the day, you'll be the one to benefit from it and not us. Our own is to do something that will be accepted, something that we enjoy, because we have seen cries from clients, from people. Okay, I don't have the time. I would have shown you some structure that he sent to me yesterday, yeah, about water seeping through their walls. It's a mess. They can't live in that apartment again. The reason is what? Underground water is coming up, and all the sides of the walls, they are all bad. All the sitting rooms, nothing. The only way you can do is to start working it all over again. They've cut for us. Yes, it's something that we can do, but it's going to cost you a lot, because the next thing, the only thing that we can do to fix that is to start fixing the DPC again. Meaning that if you have done your tiling, if you have done everything, then we have to introduce the beam again and make sure we put a fresh DPC, damp-proof course, before you can put your tiles on it. Then you will enjoy it. Outside that, whatever thing you do, if you like, go, and some people will tell you they can use water cement and do no, it will not stop it. It's going to still cause the same problem. Okay, I've experienced this before and I know what I'm saying. All right, so once you finish your work, your foundation work, you finish the filling and you soak it properly, then the next thing, like I said before, is to start compacting it. Now there's something that is here. If you watch closely, you discover that our extension rods are not connected there. It's for a reason. Normally, depend on the project. Like I said, this is a multipurpose hall. Okay, so what we are looking at the end of the day is to do the next work we want to do after this DPC now is we are going to do a form work. All right, we are going to do a form work that is not going to be having any structures, any block work underneath. So what we are looking at, if you watch closely, is we are going to be doing a work. Okay, if you watch now, you see if you watch now, you see these are reinforcement you are seeing here now. Okay, the lap length, we created it to be very much, so that after our DPC we cannot connect our extension pillars. But some cases, if you watch some sites, some cases, you discover that they will make provision for lap length that is just too short, and at the end of the day they will not even connect the extension rod on it. Normally if we are doing maybe a duplex structure or maybe a housing unit, what we normally do before we connect this beam now, or after this beam, we now connect our extension rod before the German floor. Okay, before the German floor we connect our extension rod. That's what we normally do. But we only do that in a situation where we are not trying to do a frame structure. Okay, but for this purpose of this work, what we are trying to do here, we wanted to do something that will stand alone. Okay, our plan is to do this structure in a way that from the DPC now, every other thing we are going to do is going to be frame structure up to the deck. Okay, so we don't want to connect. We only make provision for a very good lap length, so that by the time we finish our DPC we can connect it. Okay, and move on. Okay, fine. As we move on, you're going to be seeing all these things I'm saying. So it's just left for you. Follow us on, I think it's weekly, once in a while we try our best to explain one or two things concerning our site work. But all the same, if you still have any question, like I said before, I'm always free. I'm always around to discuss with you. I'm always around to receive your calls. I'm always around to share my practical experience with you. Okay, so after the filling, then there is provision for hardcore. You can make provision for your hardcores. After you make provision for your hardcores on it, okay, then the next thing is for you to start your German floor properly. Now how do you prepare, okay, the German floor? What you need to do? All these are things that are very important. Now this area you are seeing here now, if you watch, you discover that we have already make reinforcement here. Okay, there's an obstacle at the ground there. So because of that obstacle, we decide to negotiate this other way, so that when we get our DPC, then we can now complete it. I think that's exactly what we've done here now. So we've made provision here so that at the end of the day we'll have good square environment for our hall. Okay, normally we would have skipped this space because we have a septic tank or sockaway there, so we have to negotiate it and make provision and deck this slab, so that this place and this DPC we can still have space to work with. We try not to waste space. Okay, we look at it and we give you the best. All right, so now if you as you move along, like I was saying before, if you are doing a DPC work, if you are now, you watch closely, you see we've make it this area. I think I need to discuss about this area. Okay, I don't know, but this is like a cantilever member now. Okay, it's like a cantilever slab for engineering students. If you have questions regarding this, I think you can ask. But what we've done here now is to make provision for the top and the bottom reinforcement. Okay, and make sure that it's done properly. All right, after that, the next thing is you fill. Just like now we have finished our filling. Sometimes it's always this question is always asked, why do we use sand to fill? You can combine it. In some cases you can use the red mud to do your filling. Then when you want to compact, you use sand to level it up so that you can easily compact it very well. Okay, If you don't want to use that method, you want to use sand to fill, it's still okay. You can use sand to fill. In fact, in areas where you use sand to fill, it becomes easier for you because you are not going to compact much. The compaction will be rate will be reduced. Then another area I want to draw your attention on is this area now. Wow, you are not seeing it clearly, but let me move a little. Now you watch this area now. Okay, let me see. Okay, where we have this our rod, the reinforcement. Watch now, discover that the sand has already filled. We use the sand to fill. They've used the sand now to fill the rods. Please, if you are working on your site and you discover something like this at the site, it is very important you take note of what I'm saying now. Okay, please make sure that that environment you clear it out up to the concrete level. Do not cast in this direction. If you watch now, this place is not cleared, okay, and it's wrong. If you are not if you not take good look or cognizance of this, and you want to do your German floor, you went and German floor it, there's going to be a separation because the sand there is going to be serving as a barrier, okay, between the concrete and the iron. So with time, it's going to cause problem because the essence of the rod, okay, is to support the concrete. So remove all the sand. Watch it very closely. Let's see if we can get it closely. Okay, remove all the sand within this area, okay, so that when you want to cast your concrete, you are going to fill concrete on that void, on that space. Now why did we have these lapses? Okay, I think when we are doing our column, we would have raised it up a little bit higher than our DPC level. That would have solved that problem. But all the same, since it's a little bit lower than the DPC level, what do you need to do? You create a void, create a space around the rod until you get to the concrete level, okay, because that is where you're going to start your casting starting from. Please, this is very, very important. Take note. Now let's proceed. Now we've talked about this. If you watch, when you are doing your DPC, another area I would have loved to measure is your levels. Okay, look for a good foreman that can take proper level. Now, how do you take your level? I think 6 inches is ideal, but in some cases you see them taking 4 inches. Well, there's no problem. If 4 inches, like I said before, you can start with 6 inches and it should not be less than 4 inches. Okay, there are some places that can be 6 inches, there are some places that can be 4 inches. It depends on the nature of the work you are doing, but it should not be less than 4 inches. Okay, now once you have made provision for your damp proof member, then you are good to go to start your form work. This is very, very, very important in construction work. This is how we do it here. We don't always just do things alone. Now you see, just like I said before, this is what I was trying to explain. So make sure you create a cavity around the pillar so that you can fill it with concrete. Okay, this is very, very important. This is very, very important. All right, so as we move on, after you see now they are preparing for the casting. So the mix is another area that we need to work on. You as an engineering student, you as a homeowner, you need to understand the concrete mix ratio. How do you get the concrete mix ratio? This is another important area that we need to discuss on. Now, for the purpose of this explanation, you can always get it from your structural details. But my fear is, if it's not in your structural details, how do you go about it? Normally, for this work, DPC level, we don't really need too much of a good concrete mix. Okay, we can decide to increase it a little so that we will not waste too much of materials. Okay, what I'm saying in essence is that we can increase the quantity and reduce the cement here. Okay, so at the end of the day we will not waste too much of materials. But if you want to use 2:4 mix ratio, you are going to waste serious lot of cement at this stage. Okay, what you are trying to do here is just to make sure that we make preparation, okay, for water not to seep through the water not to seep through from the substructure, okay, to the superstructure. When I use the word substructure, I'm talking about from the ground to the hub, okay. So we don't really need much of a quality concrete when we are trying to prepare this. So we can reduce the cement that we're going to be using for mixing and increase the sand and the quartz aggregate. Okay, what type of aggregate we use here is totally depends on you, but for me I would prefer use the bigger size of the chippings. I'm using the word chippings. You can use the bigger size of the chippings, okay, instead of using those small ones. Those small ones might end up in wasting materials. Okay, you can use those bigger ones so I can save a lot of material and so that you can achieve this on time. Okay, so after all this, now the next thing we are going to be looking on is the superstructure. What are we going to be doing at the superstructure? We'll let you know, and as you follow us, we'll always guide you on the things that you need to know. Like I said before, this platform is designed for homeowners. If you want to have insights of construction activities, if you want to have daily or stage by stage process of how you can understand what is going on at your site, you are free to follow us. Okay, subscribe to our channel. Let us know what you feel about it. Drop comment, tell us, okay, how you will need to assist us or how you want us to assist you. Okay, it is very important, because we discovered that these days, without all these things, people from coming out from school, it's not going to be easier for them to make out good decision. Thank you very much. I hope we'll be able to give you good insight of what is going on our site activities. If you watch closely too, we're almost completing the foundation work. Thank you. See you in my next job. God bless you.